One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just so many hours you spent on the phone, I wasted here loving you. Now you gonna tell me that you're on your own, you're leaving me sad and blue. Just so many days you've been on my mind, you been stop trouble on down the line. Fool if I go, fool if I stay, tell you what I'm gonna do. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Let it roll, let it glide, let it fall.
Howdy. Welcome to this, the 38th episode of the Clay and Woodrow Show. Mr. Producer.
Yes, sir.
How are you today?
Fine. How's it going?
Going well on this, the 38th episode. Episode Tim Worley. Old Tim Worley used to be running back for the University of Georgia, number 38.
And Friday the 13th.
Oh, it is Friday the 13th.
Wow.
It is Friday the 13th. So in the studio, and I'm struggling with this, we just took the carpet out of the studio. We just got down the old cheap laminate, vinyl, tile, whatever this stuff is.
Right.
The acoustics are very different. I don't like it. I don't want the carpet back.
No.
But the acoustics are very, very...
Takes some getting used to.
It takes some getting used to. I never would have thought that in a million years. That'll take a little getting used to. As far as things on the show today, I'm going to try to unpeel the onion on our recent election, just from a different perspective. Okay, I mean, everybody's worn out. I just want to take it from a different perspective. We might talk a little bit of sports. Might talk a little Georgia, Florida, which is even hard for me to talk about because it was an embarrassment. I am that fan, and I just realized it. Like, I need to go to some type of like an AA meeting for Georgia sports fans. I am the fan who honestly thinks every year that this is our year, and I'm done. I am done thinking that next year's not our year. So I'm saying it right now. I've never said that before.
Yeah.
I make fun of Omar Oliver because he says that every year. I'm just as bad as Omar.
Yeah.
Georgia football is just a bridesmaid. That's what it is. So I'm
never the bride.
Yeah. So never the bride. And of course somebody says, yeah, but we were really close to getting married. That doesn't mean we got married. That means we were really close to getting married. So with that, I just want to talk about some things, and we'll start with, the election for me. Obviously, I've been very, pretty transparent on this show that I'm a conservative. I'm more conservative than our current president. He disappoints me in a lot of ways, but certainly I did not feel like, for me personally, that the Biden-Harris camp offered something that I could vote for, mainly just because of some what I consider to be a moral compass kind of thing. Also respect those people that think differently than me, and I can have a good conversation with them. But here's the perspective I want to take that I have not heard, and this is really interesting. Let's compare it to football for just a second. Let's compare the election to the Georgia-Florida game. Mm-hmm. When Georgia lost, do you know what a lot of people did? They're just like, well, we didn't play very well. And here's what we did. Now, we had a couple calls that didn't go our way, but overall those calls wouldn't have made a difference. Right. We got our tails kicked. And fans can, in their mind, come to grasp with the fact that on that particular Saturday, that election, if you will, if you'll follow this metaphor,
sure.
Georgia got beat because the better team won.
Yeah.
Now we get to the election, and never once will say maybe one of the reasons, not the only, but one of the reasons that Donald Trump got beat was because he wasn't a good candidate. Nobody will say that. We'll say, well, perhaps it isn't just because of a water main break-in in Atlanta. Hey, that's a story. If we need to look into that, go look into that. Perhaps it wasn't all these different factors. But nobody will say, well, man, maybe he should have been a better candidate. We do that for sports. We say Georgia should have played better. We didn't execute well.
But there are the ones that say it's all the refs' fault.
Oh, yes, and in this case, that's what we're doing. But even in football, we'll say the ref blew a call. Okay, but we will say, but there were 80 other plays, offensive plays, that we could have done something differently with, and so it can't be all the rest of them. But we're just going to say. So this is what just blows my mind. Okay, and I get it. There are people that really love Trump. I don't have an issue with that. I don't, but I don't have an. But they will literally say this. Will Clay, I don't understand why he didn't do too well in Arizona. He's always. I mean, we've always done well in Arizona. Is it perhaps because their favorite native son, John McCain, he made fun of because he was captured, and he says he preferred his heroes to be people that weren't captured, and then when he died, he more or less danced all over his grave.
Could have been something to do with it.
Could that have done? So if you might say, Clay, you don't understand. That's draining the swamp. No, that's not draining the swamp. That's being a morally corrupt human being to take pokes at somebody when they die.
Yeah.
Now,
it's generally frowned upon.
If he says, listen, John McCain and I really had some differences because at the end of the day, he did not continue to take a conservative stand on health care and the Obama. I don't have a problem with that. That's an issue-driven kind of thing. But he threw darts at a man because when he was serving this country, which, by the way, Donald Trump never did, and by the way, I didn't either. But you know what? I'm very appreciative of people like John McCain who did serve this country. Sure. And he made fun of him for getting captured. But all right, I'm okay with that. No, I'm not okay with that. But see, I at least follow I don't follow his logic. But then when he says, but I don't understand why I didn't do too well in Arizona, it's because, sir, that was a stupid political move to make to tick off a whole state over an issue that you gained nothing out of. You gained absolutely. Now, some Trump supporters thought that it was funny that he made fun of John McCain for getting captured. And those people need to live in a different country. If you make fun of a man to get captured while he's serving this country, you have no moral compass. To that end, he was getting those votes anyway. Those guys, he didn't have to. They got tickled and they thought that was funny. He's always going to get those kind of votes. Yeah. But there are independent voters out there that just say, you know what? Why would any guy do that in his position? Why would you make fun of another man for getting captured? And then he says, I wonder why I didn't do too well in Arizona. Well, sir, I can tell you because that man's wife drove all over Arizona working for your opponent. That's why you didn't win Arizona. Yeah. So that, sir, is when you did not execute a play very well. And you can't blame that on hanging chads or voting after 7 o'clock or mail-in ballots. You, sir, did something really stupid to hurt your campaign. But nobody will say he missed a wide-open receiver. We do that for the Georgia game. He missed a wide-open receiver, which, by the way, that happened a lot in the Georgia game. But when it comes to politics, we're just like, no, it couldn't have been because of that. It's only because there's some voter fraud that's going on. Do I believe that voter fraud goes on when 150 million people go to the polls to vote? I would assume so.
Somewhere.
I'm assuming that not all 150 million people were above board when they went to go vote. I think that's gone on in the history of time. But I don't understand why we don't look at. He said a statement that I thought was really interesting, and it was true. He said, Donald Trump said, in the history of mankind, the worst presidential political candidate I'm running against. I think he was right. I think he's absolutely positive. And man, and I don't mean this to be ugly. People worry about his mental acumen. Is he mentally, at his age, is he having some mental deficiency? I believe that he is. I'm not certain that he is, but I think that Joe Biden is. And I don't mean that as a funny ha ha ha. I mean that as a legitimate. I do have that concern. He could not communicate. He couldn't articulate. He got confused very, very, simply. He introduced himself as I'm Joe Biden's wife when he was actually reading the teleprompter from his wife's I mean, a lot of those kind of things. Man, I'm not so sure about this guy. Hey, buddy, that's who you lost to. That should tell you about the campaign that you ran. He did not. So the last thing is everybody just said, you know what? All right, Mr. President, you can often come across as unpresidential. You've got a couple of debates, just come across as presidential. And by the way, when Justice Ginsburg died, when you walked up to that microphone, you acted presidential. I don't know. Did you see that?
I did.
And for
I thought he did.
Yeah. And just for just a moment, I was just like, wait, that was a compassionate statement, and he's connecting with people that are listening. Maybe he can do that in these upcoming debates. And what did he do in those debates? All he had to do was just to act semi like a rational human being, and he didn't. He could not do it, and so that cost him an election. You're saying, so Clay, you don't think we need to be investigating voter fraud? No, I don't have a problem with that. If voter fraud took place, let's investigate voter. But why aren't we talking about how pitiful of a campaign he ran? Here's my last one that I'm going to tell you. Is people say, and I'm going to challenge on this. People say the thing I liked about him is he wasn't politically correct. Do you know what politically correct, when you boil down to it, to be politically correct, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is more or less when you're saying things to people that you don't necessarily really even believe, but you're saying it in order to garner their support. You know, that I'm going to try to dance around this a little bit because I don't want to hurt any feelings, and I ultimately don't want to lose you over this issue. So I'm not going to be willing to call it is what it is kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what politically correct is.
It's like saying, Clay, you're not going bald.
That's right.
You got a nice head full of hair.
Yeah, when I'm just like, well, that sounds good, but man, I'm going bald.
Right.
See, right here. So this is a man for his whole adult life. I can't speak as him as a child, but his whole adult life was pro-choice. Now, not because Clay Thomas thinks so. See, here's a crazy thing. But Donald Trump repeatedly said in the interview with Tim Russert, in which he was asked, Donald, we all get the kind of, now I'm paraphrasing a little bit, we all get the sense that one day you might run for president. If you do, where do you stand on abortion? Okay. Regardless, right now, if people that are listening, whichever way you stand on the abortion issue, he was asked that question. That's a common question,
right,
to be asked. And he said this, well, you need to understand, for me being from New York, I'm pro-choice. Okay? Now, that's not fake news. He said it out of his mouth. So that means that was a statement that he made, and said he had been pro-choice his entire life. And then we know from financial records, he supported a whole bunch of pro-choice candidates, which, by the way, is his right to do.
Right.
His right to do. So then Tim Russert goes on and says, do you agree even with partial abortion? And he says, yes. Now, once again, this isn't me making this. These are his words coming out of his mouth. Partial birth abortion. He goes, yes. And then Tim Russert says, let me get this straight. You are definitely would be a pro-choice candidate. And he goes, I am pro-choice. Now, I know this is going to surprise you. But then he stops Tim Russert. He sticks out his hands, and because it's not good enough to say he's pro-choice. Do you know what he says?
What's that?
I'm very pro-choice.
Very.
He adds a very to it. I know you find this hard to believe, but he often does that. He adds very to anything because he's so articulate. So he says he's very pro-choice. Now, this is Tim Russert asking the question, if he ran for president, how would he stand on the... So this is just years before he runs for president. And then when he goes to run for president, you know what he finds out? You're running on the Republican ticket. And Mr. Trump, we've got a lot of data here that says if you take that position, you won't even get out of the Iowa caucus. And you know what he does? He changes that position just like that.
Yeah.
Changes it just like that. Does he have the right to change? Sure he does. But for you guys to think, does he support the platform of a pro-life platform? Certainly he does, because that was his ticket. In his personal life for some over 55 years, through his own mouth and own words, has he been pro-choice? Absolutely, positively he has. Did he change right before he ran in order to get the Republican ticket? Absolutely he did. Isn't that the example of being politically correct? If he's not into political correctness, why don't he say, listen, I'm running as a Republican, but Republicans, you need to know something. I'm not politically correct, and I disagree with you on this issue.
Right.
He's the most politically correct guy that there is out there by saying, listen, one of the founding principles that the Republican Party, at least the right side of it, the conservative side of it, really believes in, right before I run for office, I'm going to change my tune on it because I really need your vote.
Yeah.
Is that not political correctness?
It is a form.
Political correctness. There you have it. The reason he could not get out of his own way. That's why he lost the election. He is correct. He ran against the worst candidate in the modern era. Michael Dukakis was bad. Okay, do you remember Dukakis?
I do.
He was bad. He was really bad. Can I tell you something? I think Biden was worse. I think Biden was worse than Dukakis as a candidate. And he is correct. He lost to the worst candidate that there's ever been. So, like saying, well, Clay, I didn't know that you were anti-Republican. I'm not anti-Republican. I'm not anti-conservative. I don't think Donald Trump is a conservative nor a Republican. That's neither here nor there because he convinced, his constituency that he was, but he's not.
Right.
But he lost poorly because he ran a bad campaign. Now, does that mean that elections don't need to be studied? Sure. I don't have any problems. I mean, if fraud took place, go knock yourself out. Go. Now, I will say this. If the folks that are calling for this election to be investigated if you heard about the same things going on and Trump would have won Georgia, would you still be asking for these investigations? And I can't speak for people. I don't know, but I can tell you the majority of those people would not care one iota. If Trump won, I don't care if there's election fraud. Trump won.
Yeah.
So just be consistent. If you're really concerned about the integrity of elections, be concerned about the integrity of elections regardless of who wins.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Okay. Am I going to keep this am I going to keep this? Yeah, I think I will. I think I will.
Yeah, we're good.
How about we in this me ranting and raving? So let me be clear so that I will air this. I don't care who you supported. That's fine. Just be consistent. Be consistent in everything you do. Oh, the last thing is, well, Clay, we didn't have a choice.
This is the third last thing.
This is the third last thing. It's like a good Baptist sermon. Clay, we didn't have a choice. Yeah, you did. It's called a primary. In a primary, you put in a candidate who will win. Well, we didn't have any other choice because he was the incumbent. It's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says you can vote for whoever you want. Mm-hmm. But we selected him in a primary when it was only Republicans. We could have. There's 300 million people in the United States. We had 300 million people to choose from, so we did have a choice, and we chose to put him back.
Yep.
And he ran a horrible campaign, and he lost, and it's on him. He ran a horrible campaign. So anyhow, let's get back to Georgia football. You know what? One of the major issues in how we lost that game is that here's my big issue with Kirby. Okay, it's not X's and O's. These athletes all ride around campus on these little Vespa scooters. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, yeah. You back in your day, you'd call them a moped. You know what a Vespa is?
Yeah.
They all have a little Vespa motor scooters. And we have, at least on Georgia's campus, 8 athletes a year get injured on these little motor scooters. My big issue with Kirby right now is, by George, I could make sure that my athletes weren't on those little motor scooters. They have buses all over campus. These kids have 2 legs that can walk. The last thing that we need you on, in Athens, Georgia, the roads are so narrow, just tiny little narrow roads. And these kids are constantly getting hurt on the motor scooter. I'm telling you right now that's my number one fault with Kirby, is just saying, well, Richard LeCount, our starting safety, if I understand correctly, and I may not, and if so, I'm sorry, but he got into a bad accident. And by the way, I hope Richard LeCount's okay now. But I don't understand why we're allowing our, kind of prized athletes to be riding around on motor scooters when everybody else are in Jeeps and Buicks and Ford trucks. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like a good combo to me. So that I want to take issue with in this episode as well. Get the student athletes off the motor scooters. Can you get on board on that? Do you know enough about that to get on board?
I can, because I'm too afraid that something like that would happen if I got on one. So
The other thing that I want to mention, and I need your input on this because I've made a lot of people mad already. Because right now they're fuming, at me and just like, this election was stolen. And it might have been, as far as there might have been, I'm getting back to it. There might have been irregularities or things done illegally, and that should not happen. But you should also run a smart campaign. You get it? That's all I mean.
I got you.
That's all I mean. Yeah. He didn't run one, and you typically lose elections when you don't run a smart campaign. Okay, Walmart, what's the deal with the music blaring through the parking lot?
I don't know.
Are
they still doing that?
Oh,
I heard
yeah.
they were doing it, but
yeah, not only music, but it's not good music.
Really?
Oh, it's horrible. So, but I don't understand. So Walmart, if I understand the Walmart kind of pattern for success, or what they is to do things as cheaply as they can, because we're going to go to Walmart. Walmart had to spend a couple $1,000s to get there. Walmart doesn't like to spend a couple $1,000s. Okay.
Right.
On anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to have some data that indicates that there is something to be made by playing this music over and take that $2,000 and just find an employee that will come help me. That would be a better
good investment.
So what is the purpose of the music blaring through the parking lot?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm perplexed by. And if somebody works at Walmart, well, first of all, you're going to be angered because I just said that you won't help me. But by the way, you won't. No one at Walmart. And if you do, so here's the funny thing at Walmart. If you are, and they can sense that you're looking for something or struggling, they will run. They're like, oh, no, I'm not getting caught in this.
Right.
I'm not helping.
Yeah.
So one time a lady did help me at Walmart, and I looked at her like she was an alien. She walked up to me and she goes, can I help you? And I was just like, what are you doing? I was like, this is Walmart. I was like, you can't come and help me. She scared me to death. So I did ask her, I said, how long have you worked here? And she goes, I'm kind of new. I was like, yeah, you got to be. Yeah, there's no way. They've not trained you. You're not supposed to speak to people. Walmart.
No.
But the Walmart speakers, the reason for, I'm perplexed by that. And didn't know if you had any insight on that. A lot of football games canceled this weekend. Georgia, Missouri is I think 4 SEC football games are canceled this weekend.
Really?
So, all COVID related. High school seems to be fine. I don't know of a lot of cancellations for at least the fall sports. I think they're moving strong. I think Ware County had set aside a potential of going virtual for the period after Thanksgiving, and they've decided to not do that, to stay person to person. Is my understanding there. Also, anything from you?
Well, what do you think about sports going on through the winter? Do you think those will happen?
College, high school, be more
High
specific.
school.
So, okay. So the winter sports, which I think is just winter sports, is wrestling, basketball, and swimming, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Yeah, those sports won't happen.
You don't think so?
No. You're supposed to ask me why I don't think that'll happen.
Why is that?
Because nobody cares about those three sports. So
They're not football.
Well, I can't say that because that's
Are you saying they are football?
No, I'm saying that is the correct answer, but that really makes people mad. So that was producer Donnie
Cornelius.
Donnie Cornelius at gmail.com. So, but now listen, I'm not picking just on Ware County. I mean, Ware County's included, but they won't occur because nobody cares about them. And it's going to be easy to say, well, but it's also the flu season. They want to shut them down because they don't produce revenue, and they're a headache for athletic directors and principals, and they will shut them down. I don't think. But what I am saying is I'm not talking about Ware County. I'm talking about statewide. They will shut them down.
Yeah.
Because they will say, well, we're just doing it as an abundance of caution. But what they're really saying is, wink, wink, football's over. Whew, we made it through football. Mm-hmm. And we probably should have done a little of this during the football season, but we couldn't because football's critical. Yeah. And it is. I've said this a million times, financially, I'm not going to repeat myself. But at the end of the day, there will not be winter high school sports. I think there will be spring sports because by that time, I think as it gets warmer and the parents are going to kind of start, chirping up and all that kind of stuff. And I think your golfers and tennis players, but their winter sports, I don't think will happen. And I hope I'm wrong because wrestling obviously is the most important high school sport to me personally, but there's no one else in this community that feels that way. It's just me. So
Well, they are typically more indoor.
yeah, they are.
So
They are. And our whole wrestling program right now is quarantined. 42 kids were sent home. So, which I'm not saying inappropriately. So, I mean, but it is what it is. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right there. But no, I don't. You know, and it's interesting because my son doesn't normally care about this, but he asked me the other day, because Dad, do you really think there's gonna be a wrestling season? But you know what I told him?
What's that?
Yeah, man, because I want him to keep working and keep.
don't stop
and by
training.
the way, he does not watch the Clay and Woodrow show, and I think is partially humiliated that we even have the show. So he will never find out. But no, I don't think there will be winter high school sports in the state of Georgia. There will be in Indiana. You know why? Because basketball is king in Indiana. It's just where it has nothing to do with COVID.
No.
It just has to do with priority. And winter sports are, out of the 3 seasons, have the least amount of priority, especially in Ware County, because no one cares about wrestling and basketball. Girls are sometimes okay. You know, they're pretty, but our boys basketball program is just not very good. I don't know that you can speak that honestly, but it's not. Yeah, it'll be shut down. But I hope not. Man, I hope not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, but once again, to be clear, because I need to be politically correct, that is an affliction that not just Ware County will have, but the whole state of Georgia will have. So this isn't something where we're going to be singled out.
Right.
Oh, man, it's been a while since we've been on. I feel like I got a lot of tension, released.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You still on your blood pressure medicine?
Still my blood pressure medicine. That's kind of good. I will say, getting back to the whole presidential thing, is do you think we'll have an inauguration on the normal day? What is that, January 20, something
20th?
or something
Maybe?
like that? Yeah.
Something, 20-something.
And I can't remember exactly when that is. Will there be an inauguration there? And I assume that there will be. You're starting to see many, now once again, and I know you guys can't stand these, but these are facts, okay? Kind of like what he did in Arizona is a fact, and his position change is a fact. But like even Georgia's Republican lieutenant governor came out and said the other day, he's just like, I'm a Republican, governor's Republican, Secretary of State who's in charge of elections Republican, and we'd love to help y'all. But we hadn't found a thing.
Yeah.
Now they're going to do a recount because I think their state law mandates that
They're
recount.
within 0.5%.
Within 0.5%. He says we're going to do it because we follow the law.
Right.
But all 3 Republican guys who would want nothing more than Donald Trump to win Georgia.
Sure.
They're embarrassed that he didn't because they're can't find a thing. So at some point in time, there are Republicans kind of whispering in his ear, "Man, there's nothing here to see."
Yeah.
And I don't know that to be the case. I don't know if there is anything to see. I'm just saying the Republicans in charge of Georgia's elections are saying.
Well, I heard at some point they've got to shift to the Senate races and, kind of cut dead weight at some point anyway.
That's right. Yeah. And listen, it's going to be hard for Biden and Kamala to get too much stuff done because the Republicans should control the Senate. So it could be a lot of dead, like stalemates where no government takes place, which, to be honest with you, that'd be even better, just for government to shrink and to go away, not go away completely, but to really shrink. But I do think we'll have an inauguration. I think things will be settled by then, and I think you will see an inauguration. Anything on your mind, sir?
One thing, sponsor.
Oh man, thank you.
Yeah. Save the best for last.
Boop boop. Boop, boop. So, Coppage Tree Farm. So, my family goes out and gets our tree from Coppage. I mean, it's kind of like the old Brownies thing. If you want to go throw your money away at Lowe's to some, you don't see Lowe's on the back of T-ball T-shirts. Mm-hmm. The Coppage family, there's been no better family to this community than the Coppages. I mean, just the nicest people. Now, to drive to get out there, you probably need some breadcrumbs. I've been out there. It's a haul, but a beautiful place. It's fun, very family oriented. And it's just so neat to see a family like the Coppages have a business that is so ingrained in the community, and to see people out there cutting their Christmas trees. And they'll help you. They'll help you select one. I mean, they will go out of their way, and they just are simply the nicest people around. So, I'm not able to see the screen kind of because of our remodeling and all. But what's a phone number? What information do we have for the Coppage Tree Farm? And when is it open?
2 to 6, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, but what, because I will say, and I'm embarrassed at this, but the Thomases, in a little bit of eagerness last year, we drove out there, but they weren't open yet. So I think it's after Thanksgiving, correct?
It is seasonal.
I think after Thanksgiving.
We open November 21st.
November 21st. Okay, so that's when Coppage Tree Farm is open.
It's got 8 days.
Yep. So go out there and tell them that the Clay and Woodrow show sent you. Even if we had nothing to do with it, that'll be fine. Lie to the Coppages. They're nice enough people that they will forgive you. So, hey, I'll tell you something on Woodrow. Woodrow's back. Is he on camera?
Yeah, he is.
Woodrow's got to drop 2 pounds. All right. Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because his dad, that's me, is a bit of a tightwad. And where he gets his bath is based upon weight. And when he was at 69 pounds, and he had a $28 bath. But now that he's at 71 pounds, he has a $35 bath. And I don't know that mathematically I quite understand that the 2 pounds of muscle or fat has created $8 more worth of labor for my good friends who bathe old Woodrow. But those are the rules. Dim's the rules. So I've got to live. So much like my son in wrestling season, I'm putting Woodrow in black plastic bags, like trash bags, and we're running around the block. We got to get him back under because his bath's too expensive.
Yeah.
Hey, but Woodrow's about to be a father. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I think about 35 more days.
Wow.
Woodrow, and this is a PG show, but about a month ago, Woodrow found a young lady of his liking, a blonde.
Wow.
And so we're expecting kids, litter, and probably right around, I don't know, 1st of January or something like that. Well, my math's off. I think it would be closer to maybe 1st of January, something along those lines. So Woodrow's going to be a proud dad.
All right.
Yeah, it's exciting for me.
That's
to be
cool.
A grandpa of a litter of puppies.
It's time. It's time for you to be a grandpa.
It is. So happy for Woodrow, and I should have passed out cigars or something like that. But
that would have been nice.
But once again, you guys have a fantastic. We might see you before Thanksgiving, maybe. Who knows? We don't know. But you guys have a fantastic week, and it is good to. I was about to say it's good to see y'all. You know, I don't really see them whatsoever. But you guys have a fantastic week, and thanks for turning in to the Clay and Woodrow Show.
On the side, let her go, let it ride.